Hey folks, I am back. I've got another project demonstration for my Python 2 class. We're going to go over real quick as I can. I'm not feeling well, so we're just trying to power through this. Let's get into it. I'll show you what I built. All right, so this is a Django project. So I put together a Django site that is going to allow me to track the parts, PC parts over time. So, and all from NewEgg. So I'm able to scrape down the NewEgg website and get specific part information and prices and fancy charts and graphs and things and track all that stuff for a PC build. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I've got a chart here, and this will give you the percentage of each component of the total build. So the graphics card is huge percent. If there's multiple parts tracked for each category, then it will give you the highest priced part. So this is kind of a maximum price chart here. That's generated, and then each section here is a different category. So operating systems, case things, and then I can add parts to those. I can take parts away, and then charts the prices over time. So we can start off right here. We've got an update prices. Let's do that right at the end. But for each category, I can actually click and I can add a part from a link. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that right now. In fact, let's also delete a part. So we can delete parts so we don't want to track anymore. Are you sure you want to do this? And it was successfully deleted. Kind of mess up. Gone. See that anymore. And then the chart goes away, but it will be updated when we refresh the screen. And then let's go ahead and update the let's add a new processor to got a link here. So let's see what the Ryzen 7 7700X, let's track that guy. So I'm just going to get the link from here. I'm going to paste it in and then get part. And that's going to add that message back to the user. And we don't have any data on it yet, and we don't have a price on it yet. When I update the prices, it will fill in all that information. Now I can track both of these prices, excuse me, both of these parts, and every time I do an update price now, it will update the parts prices. So didn't work. Just a second. There we go. It just takes a second. I actually thread. I'm using threading to create all the charts, so it probably just wasn't quite done yet. But now we can see we've got both parts, and there's no data for this. There's nothing to compare it to. But now we can see the current price is this. And then every time I go back and I check parts again, it will start plotting that on. See here, I just started this one the other day. I've been charting these guys for a few days now, so you can see the fluctuation of prices, cases, all the things. So we can add parts, we can delete parts, and then we can update prices. And that's the whole project. But let's get into the code so I can actually show you all that I built to make this happen, because it's deceivingly simple from the user side of things. So what I've done for Django is I've created a basic Django project. I had the app, Django calls them apps. That's the section we have here. And then some of our stuff that we've got, most of my logic was done right here in repository class. So I created a repository class that just does all the interactions with the database. So any of the queries I have, I'm using the Django ORM for almost all of these. So this talks back and forth. I just got a SQLite database that this pulls from and adds to. So a couple other things of note in here. I am using pandas for a few of these. I ran into some limitations with Django's ORM in some of the ways it gets the data back. So I actually had to do some of the data manipulation in a data frame because edge cases. So that's what I did. So I pulled down some queries and I rearranged them, manipulated the data a bit in Pandas, and then I sent that back out as a dictionary project. So a few other things. Yeah, I did Pandas. I did the database stuff there. That's most of the repository class. Again, most of my logic is done in here. And when I did test, pardon me, all my tests were actually ran on the repository classes. So I'm using a test fixture. Apologies. I'm so sorry. I'm so sick. I'm using a test fixture to bring in data to the database to test against. So that was actually kind of a neat thing that Django allows me to do. So when I run all my tests, and we can actually just run those quick, it uses all the data from a test database, a fixture, just defined as based on object. Run all my unit tests for that as wrote all those out. Let's see, we used multi-threading. We actually did this in a couple different places. We did it in a chart, so I've got a charts class that right down here. So when we're creating those line charts, I'm actually creating each one using threading. That's why sometimes it'll take just a second to update those. It's doing them all in different threads. And also in my views folder, or file, sorry. I'm using threading here as well for updating of the prices. So when I'm going out to NewEgg, I'm scraping each page for each part, and I'm doing that in threads as well to speed that up, and it made a tremendous. Let's see, in our models class, I actually did a factory pattern here for the models class that allows me to create a part model from a dictionary. So pass in a dictionary, and it will create the part model and then return that part model back. I'm not creating that directly. So I did a factory pattern there for that. And visualizations, we already covered that in the charts. So that is it for the code. And things that kind of went well and didn't go well. I actually kind of really struggle with Bokeh. I'm using Bokeh to create all the charts and graphs. I just had a lot of problems on the edge cases of things. So Bokeh was a little bit difficult to work with. Some of the data I had to do weird things in the repository to get it into the right format for Bokeh to use. Those charts were tricky, and the documentation is just not as complete as I would have liked. So there's a lot of trial and error going on to make that work. Some of the Django ORM stuff just wasn't fully functional enough using SQLite. If I was using like Postgres, I could have done some of the things I wanted to, but instead I had to do the manipulation in Pandas. But it's all things I could figure out and overcome. But on the whole, it's actually pretty good. I actually like the way this came out. It's very simple to use. You're just adding links and deleting parts and adding parts and updating prices. But the functionality is there. It actually does some really handy. Track all those parts and see what you want to buy. But that is all I've got for this project. And I'm going to let it go here because I am feeling terrible. But that's all I got. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.